Hey, how's it going? I'm Jason with JHR Photography, and I'm going to go through a custom LinkedIn writer that I built today. So I'm going to show you the backside of how to build one, and we're going to start with building a style guide so that the LinkedIn post is formatted the way that you want it. It presents the way that you want. It's readable and engaging. So that'll be our first step, and then we'll put it into the LinkedIn writer and get it ready to post. So I built several different custom assistants because some of these are specifically for my company, so I use them on multiple projects so I don't narrow them down to just one function. We've got a copywriter. And then the LinkedIn assistant is all about doing the LinkedIn post. So I can give it content, tell it to post it, and it automates that process. So we're going to start with the style guide and how to make a style guide for your writing. And I do that. I've got a custom assistant called Wordy Windy. She's my wordsmith. And on the back end of her customization are the instructions for how I want her to behave, what I want her to do, and how she approaches things. So she does writing analysis, template development, strategic content creation. This is her interaction style. There's some examples. So as you build these custom instructions, it's important to have who she collaborates with. I've got other virtual assistants that she can pass the information to that work on other parts of it. And then there's the reporting, what comes out of it, keeping her on track with trends. So she can also follow trends as you give updated inputs. This assistant will be able to identify the trends and the shifts in that. And then there's an error handling statement, which is just copy and paste. So that's my custom assistant here. I've given all of my assistants some background knowledge about my business. They've got documents here that go over everything about my company, the projects I work on, the types of clients, my ideal client, which is really important, and then current projects and how I want things to be done. So what that sets up is that whenever I put information in on a topic or something to discuss, it gives it the framework that the assistant is going to behave within those parameters and keep it in my voice and within my company scope and really dialed into our ideal client. So Wendy is already built out with that. And what we're going to do is have Wendy give us a style guide based on. So Wendy's already built out with custom instructions. The next step is to give Wendy some documents and references to look at and analyze to be able to build a style guide for us. So I've prepared some of those already on this document here. I went through a friend of mine, Jacob Mousseau. He does a lot of veteran and transitioning veterans to civilian based content on LinkedIn. He's got a very good style for the way he posts. So I wanted to emulate some of what he does. I also went to Jasmine Alec. If you haven't seen his work on LinkedIn and how he puts together posts, he's got a really good style, does a lot of coaching. Been on a bunch of different podcasts and shows, tons of free content so you can learn a bunch from there. And then Chris Doe with Future liked his style as well. So I made a list of samples that I would like Wendy to emulate. And then I created a prompt that will give Wendy to build this out. So here is the prompt that I gave Wendy. It says, as my lead copy editor, I need to build a style guide for LinkedIn posts that can be used as a template when creating content. Review the following content and links, assess their writing style, their format, and writing techniques to maximize reach and engagement for my company. Provide me with an assessment of the key features and details that make these posts effective on LinkedIn. So I don't have to tell Wendy who she is when she does this, which is something that if you don't have the paid version or a custom assistant, you have to give them context of who they are. Wendy already knows who she is and knows her capability and her background. So she's going to apply all of that to this prompt. I'm going to copy and paste the details into here for Wendy to review and see what she tells me. So there's about 10 different posts in there and then links, and this is what she comes back with. So you can use this a couple different ways. You can straight up mimic what somebody else has and copy this style, make it your format, or you can provide additional content and context of your own writing style, your own voice. And the more you iterate on that and the more you put into the system, the more it's going to sound like you. So as you write different articles or different content or email or whatever it is, save those in a document so you can use those as reference to build your writing style guides. And so that's essentially what I did. I want to format my content to look like this as far as the format and layout, but I don't necessarily want my voice to be like that. But she picks up on some great key points: the conversational tone, the storytelling, direct engagement. Jay Alec has some great engagement tools and tricks that he puts in there that get people to respond and repost. It's bite-sized. Their hook strategy. Something to pay attention to on LinkedIn is that the hook needs to be 2 lines long so that sentence is in there, because if it goes to 3, it breaks it and you don't get the read more. So if it's 2 lines long and you throw a controversial statement out there, you can hit the read more and it'll open up the rest of the article, so it increases engagement. You can give that specific instruction to this style guide. So she goes through format, emojis for certain parts, value-driven messages, community-oriented, visuals, putting pictures with it. That'll be a different video. Emotional appeal, be genuine. Recognize gratitude. That's common in all of those, which is from Jacob to Christo and those guys, really put out some good, genuine content. Show a lot of gratitude for the feedback. And that invites engagement on there, so you want to include that in your post. And so there's the best practices. So please write my style guide. So this is the prompt that I'm going to use. Write my style guide that I will upload to the LinkedIn Assistant. Make sure the instructions say that the hook is 2 lines long and not over. Allow the content to be flexible and adaptive within the formatting. Because you don't want it so rigid that it's the same every time. You want a little bit of flexibility, and the assistants are able to build that in, and they'll learn as you go through and iterate on it. So that is the prompt there. So OpenAI ChatGPT just started a new capability with the Canvas. So if you're on the paid account, it breaks it out into a little thread on the side, and that's where she's producing this. And so this will be the guidance that our LinkedIn writer gets. And if this is similar to your blog writing style or your post writing style, you can adapt this. Now that you've got a style guide, you just make different ones. So you take, this is the LinkedIn style guide. Run this back through Wendy and say, give me a blog style guide that maximizes SEO and keyword. And so you can start to put those nuances into the guides that will then shape how the output of your custom assistants. She's given example post templates, which is good. Anytime you can give the assistant a template, it will respond better for it. So there we go. It gives word length, visual elements, the tone, hook, 2 lines max. So it included those instructions. And then it gives samples, which is going to help our LinkedIn writer go through and produce good content. So I'm going to copy this out, go to a new document to save it. I do have an automation set up that kicks it out to a document, but I want to put it in here. So now that it's in a standalone document, I am going to create a text file. So we're going to download this as a plain text file. And the reason why is when you're uploading instructions to the backside of a custom GPT or a custom assistant, let me do this here, again, style guide. The text files read faster. If it's formatted or rich text or a PDF, it takes longer for them to process through the information, because every time the LinkedIn writer does his work, he's going to go look at the style guide and conform the output to the style guide. So I wanted to save that as a text file, and so I can load it up into here. So on the back end, you go to the LinkedIn writer, you go to the edit GPT, and we are going to, when it opens up, we're going to upload that file that we just did, which is in here. There's the style guide with all the instructions in it in plain text, so it should be fast to read. But because this was produced in a very simple format and it didn't have a style guide and some of the styling is in here, I need to adjust these instructions so that the instructions are more tailored to the output that we want, and it references talking to the style guide. So next thing I'm going to do is I built a profile writer, and this is my Talent Scout. And the background of this assistant is to create profiles, works off of a psychologist background. So you can give it information about the person, what they do, what their role is, what their education is, what their function is in the company. And it will produce the set of instructions that go into the custom GPT. So you don't have to think through everything. You give the profile writer the basics of what you want and the functionality that you're trying to build, and let the GPT build it, put it in the right code with all the details, and then that way it's easier, it's quick. So I'm going to pause this, or I'll fast forward it to when I get this prompt in, and I'll show you what I got. All right, so I've created a prompt here that's going to help update this profile for our LinkedIn writer. Writer's professional content creator, LinkedIn engagement specialist. His personality is friendly and professional. You can give these things personalities so they're fun to talk to. Makes it more enjoyable to work. Here are the current set of instructions. No. I provided a style guide to help craft the output of the writing process, which you saw me upload. I need to retain the functionality of pulling articles from the RSS feed and posting which articles to choose. I would like to add more refining aspects get image recommendations, retain the post function as well, so that way it still works and it's in the instructions, as well as the data format. I've refined this prompt for the profile writer to give it enough detail to build a personality into it and provide some more context for what we're going to do. Also referencing the style guide that I have in there, as well as the company background documents, so that it keeps it within those parameters. I want it to target our ideal audience, our target audience, with the content and how it writes, and also follow the guide while it's doing it. There's some data that has to remain there for the function to work, so I left that in there. But basically said, take a look at these old instructions, update it with some new information, and then give me a new profile to put into this persona. So I'm going to put that there and tell her to go. So she's now going through the database of information that I gave her and will provide me the details of the upgrade. So here's the updated role, a little bit of personality, focus that the writer has. Here's the commands that must stay there, say fetch articles, and then the designed webhook will trigger. Here's the information that it needs there. It's going to ask me what I want to write the post on, so I get an option. And then it'll go through the content creation cycle with me, refining it and building it based off of that guide. It gets final approval for the headline, the post body, and all of that. And then the posting command will be at the end of it. And it just summarized what it did. So now I need this in the right format to be able to load into the instructions. This is called a JSON format. It makes it easier for the custom GPT to read. I don't understand all of it. I'm not a programmer. I just learned that that's one of those tricks that you do. So I tell in JSON format. So that way it processes faster, because it's all about getting the GPT or the assistant to iterate through the information as fast as possible. And the more convoluted or complex the instructions, the longer it takes, and it can build replications, errors, or degradation of the information. So you want to have it really clean and organized. And I do not want to spend all the time programming that. And the beauty of GPT is that it does it for you. So that's the instructions from the plain text to the JSON format. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put this into my person and hit close. The only other thing, I need to upload my company documents. So this assistant did not have those. Let's see, where is it at? I'm gonna have to go look for it. Management, consolidated knowledge documents, there we go. And there they are, I'm putting those in as text. So that gives this writer a framework to work out of. And that's about it in here. I'm not going to get into this action right now. Like I said, you can copy that action, or I'll show it in a different video. But essentially you make a get function, which tells it to go to that RSS feed, and then it brings it back. you do the work with it and you do a post function and then it sends it to your LinkedIn account. So that's the functionality of it. We're going to update this guy here. And once it's ready to go, I will show you how it works. So here is our updated LinkedIn writer. It says create LinkedIn posts here. I'm going to tell it, let's see if it does it. Need to make. So these should still function just like a regular GPT where you can talk to them. Right now it's just going through the knowledge database. And it's going to give me some background because I didn't tell it to fetch the article. I just asked it something about what it knows. So it's telling me what it knows. And it's building that off of what's already in its database. So that's kind of built off of my information. But let's say fetch articles, and it should run the action. It's going to ask for permission to run the action here. So we're going to allow it. That's sending it to that webhook that's going to tell it to go look for things. And it's pulling articles from here. So if we go into here, into this feed, we may be able to see where these articles are at. So building your personal brand, International Women's Day, 3 easy ways to build brand as an entrepreneur. Fit Pro, I did one on that yesterday. Healthcare, that one still cracks me up. I don't want to write an article about that, but it's a market. So if you look in here, it pulled some articles from this list, and they're going to be somewhere in here. Yep, not sure where they're at, but anyways, it's pulling articles out of here because there's a lot of different articles in here. It'll go on for a while. So we go to here and let's tell it I want to build a LinkedIn article on 3 easy ways to build a personal brand. I'm going to hit number 3 and it's going to run through the process of writing the LinkedIn article for me. So there it goes. And it's using the style template that Wendy provided. There's a 2-line hook. There's the information about it, actionable takeaways, and then an engaging call to action at the end of it. And now we can start to refine out of it if we want to make it longer, if we want to format it different. But one of the things, so personal context, 1 to 2 paragraphs, practical insights, and then the call to action. So it hit that, it hit the word count, and then the visual elements, we can ask it, what image would you recommend this article? So it's going to give us some ideas for an image search, and there's a few sites that you could take that almost as a prompt on its own and go find images at work, or if you have stock that you use, you can load it up. So I'm going to go, let's do this one more time because I've already wrote on that one. I want to do a different one to see how it does. Oh, and this is OpenAI doing testing while it is running. And I'm not sure how that's going to work out with this because it gave me 2 options while it was running. There it goes. All right, so I had it fetch some more articles, and I wanted to see if it pulled different ones. GPT ran into a thing where it was doing some testing on style 1, style 2, but I wanted to see how the function pulled articles within the parameters. It's really focused on a specific period of time, the most recent articles in the last 5 days on that feed, so it's getting the same one. So it's not giving me different information, but you can adjust those parameters in the search feed. So I wanted to do this article here. We can open it up, and I'm going to tell it to write a LinkedIn post on this, and it's going to do the post. So from Inc. Magazine, there's the article, Jasmine Starr, follow her, and that's what it talks about in there. Short little article, LinkedIn post, build brand. There it goes. It's got the same 2 lines for that. A little more detailed. This one's not as robust, so I want to adjust this a little bit more. So I'm going to tell it to build out more context for it. So give me a second, and I will put that up. Perspective. All right, so I provided a little bit more guidance on this. I want the post to be, from my perspective as the owner of a small business, I want to make the context section a little bit longer. I want to refine the call to action. I didn't think that it really did anything, so share one thing that worked. And I wanted to make the hook, it was funny, I heard somebody say this, make the hook more spicy, so thought-provoking, that may be controversial, but it gets people to engage. So I want to see how this does with refining, and it goes through. So the hook's not great. This is where Claude may be a better writer, or maybe Wordsmith Wendy. Anytime you take content between LMs, it works differently with them. It comes up with different answers, different style. So it did do what I said. What's one thing you've done? Love to have your insights to share. So just for fun, I'm going to give this to Wendy over here. We're going to get out of that, and we're going to do a new chat and refine this LinkedIn post for higher engagement. Let's see what she does with it. So much like a different style altogether, still has the same, find core values, consistency, being authentic and relatable. So comparing them, I don't know which one works better. LinkedIn's kind of a mystery for me. And then the last step of this is in this writer, once we have it all set up, is I can tell it to post it. And this is going to send this article to LinkedIn. What I don't really like about this is the spacing. So I may need to do some adjustment in there to add spacing and leave room for it to breathe. So we'll see what it looks like. I may adjust that. It's going to run this action, and so it's starting the action. And what that's going to do is it's going to send it to make, which is right over here. And so this webhook is listening for this action to take place. Once it takes place, well, it's been running the whole time because that's where the RSS feed comes from. But once that action takes place, it sends it to LinkedIn. So it routes it through there. And I'm not sure, there it goes. Confirm, and it's going to run it. I'm going to go to LinkedIn here and go to my page, and on posts, it's right there. But it does not look the way I want it to look. So it's got some stuff in it, but not everything in it. So I'm going to delete that post to do some work with it. But it did what we told it to do. So a little bit of work to refine it. What hopefully you saw is what you can put into the backside of these to really build them out and customize them, to personalize them. So the instructions are important, backside knowledge is important, and then this is where you put in the actions. But I think the real key, the thing that has been a game changer for me, has been having this persona writer. So I can tell it what I want, and it comes up with really solid instructions that translate over to a functional assistant that has those characteristics. And you can get super detailed with them, especially if you're in a niche market, something that's very specific to your skill set, and provide it all of the details that are specific to you. And it's time saver though, because I can store that in a document. I can go back later, I can adjust it, I can refine it, get the layout the way that I want before I post it into LinkedIn rather than automate it. And it still saves a ton of time. So hopefully that was helpful. You got to see automations work, how to custom program an assistant in ChatGPT and OpenAI, and how to do a call and post on through make.com. So that'll be a different video, or I'll reference out somebody that teaches that better than I do. So hopefully that was helpful. Leave questions or comments down below. I'd love to connect with you. If there's something I can help you with to customize something for you specifically, or work through a problem with you, just let me know. I'm available on LinkedIn, obviously, and you can message me there, or you can reach me on Instagram at @JHRPhotos. So I will talk to you soon.